two, because we're going to break this coward Cris the Shermhead down. Let's go. So part two with Cris Carter is Randy Moss called you a quitter first, and we're going to get to that. Well, you called Randy Moss a quitter, and you were known as that, but it all started with you getting fired on Fox Sport. These outlandish takes you started doing towards melanated brothers.
It happened. But apparently he had a dispute with upper management. I guess they just said enough was enough, and he was shown a door. So, guys, what do you think of this, black and white sports fans? Cris Carter no longer employed by FS1.
You were fired for continuous problems on FSN Sports, SFN, whatever, Fox Sports 1. You wanted people to defend you for the same things you're going against Deion Sanders for, but they ridiculed and made you go through a humiliation process in front of the world. Now, when you got fired, you guys can pause and read the reports. They embarrassed Cris Carter so bad, he was escorted off the premises with security in front of all his peers. There was continuous problems with you over there trying to fight individuals. You seem to have a drinking problem that you never fixed since your days at Ohio State. Or we're going to get into more of that. Then you actually tried to break down your situations from, see, they called it ejected. No, sir, you got fired. You're the same guy who went away from your own rules. Never forget, Cris Carter was the one talking to you. Look, I agreed with this, what I'm about to show, but everything you said about Shedeur, you was none of this. You did the complete opposite. You're on video telling NFL prospects the opposite of what you're telling Shedeur. You're telling them to get a fall guy.
Just in case y'all not going to decide
this
to do
is
the
you,
right
sir.
thing.
You're telling everybody to get a fall guy. Do you remember this?
Fall guy in the crew. Just in case y'all not going to decide to do the right thing, if y'all got a crew, you got to have a fall guy in the crew.
You know why Warren Sapp laughed at you? Because he know you don't say these things on a national media pundit, but once again, all of a sudden, you're this wise elder who has the best philosophies, but yet you never followed none of your own words. This is you right here trying to play it off after being fired. Anxiety weighs down the heart, but a kind word cheers it up. Proverbs 12:25. You remind me of degenerate Colorado player Cash Cleveland. Fake Christians like you try to throw out God's word after you go and do the complete opposite of God's word. Did you give kind words to the Sanders family, Deion and Shedeur, during that synopsis in your failed interview you just did? No, but you want kind words towards you when you get ridiculed and you get dragged out the mud. You're a hypocrite, sir. Now, Skip Bayless embarrassed you on national media. You didn't have this same visceral. You are a coward. You did it behind the scene. But let's look at a snippet of when Skip Bayless emasculated you in front of the entire world on a national platform.
So you cover, don't put too much yeast on that.
Inspire the whole football team.
No, you can't. No, you're wrong on that. He's not inspiring the whole football team.
No, you're wrong on that. You're wrong. You're dead wrong on that one.
Well, I've been on the NFL field before. You never have.
I don't care.
That's not a start. There's plenty of other players besides the starter. Okay, that's 6 weeks ago. You need to move on till today.
No, you need to move on. What does he do every fourth quarter?
You're right. And I give you credit for that.
Okay. You can't take away his credit.
He took your essence of what make a man away from you. And what you did, you told everybody that you admitted that you once threatened to punch Skip Bayless in the face. We don't know about it because this is what you did after a fact, because you have to play a puppet character. You can never show your bravado as a man. Now, salute to you for being professional, but you weren't really professional. A lot of people said you were the most useless character when you was on ESPN. This is why you ventured off this Fox, but we're not done yet. You were scared of Skip Bayless. You can't exude what a man is, so you do everything behind people's back like a true coward. You don't do it in their face. Even Skip admitted this. He was like baffled that you said this. You never went and tried to really punch him. You said this after the fact when you were far away from Skip Bayless. I know you're not afraid of Skip Bayless, but you're afraid of his complexion. This is actually fact. You're afraid of them folks, so you tap dance and you get scared when guys like Shedeur is not afraid. You gonna get us in trouble, Shedeur and Deion.
On the Tebow phenomenon, I'm going to be honest with you. Skip Bayless is not one of my favorite people. I'm on there doing the show. I do the show and everything. And then all of a sudden, this is when the Tebow phenomenon was going on. If throwing the football is important in the NFL, Tim Tebow will never be a starting quarterback in the NFL. So he got defensive, and then he came back and said, well, that's why you didn't win a Super Bowl, which got nothing to do with nothing. We went to commercial break. I took my earpiece out, and I told him, I'll never be on your show again. And if you ever say anything like that to me again, I'll punch you right in the face.
That wasn't even said at all. And a lot of people contested to that. You do a real good job in talking behind people's back. Ryan Day and the Ohio State faculty didn't acknowledge Cris Carter the way you wanted to be acknowledged. So you had this combative mode against your alma mater for years now. So you wanted Ryan Day to be fired, and he did nothing wrong to you. Ryan Day, you wanted us to believe he was overrated, all that. Well, he just won a national championship, sir.
How, as an alumni member, all right, a guy that started Ohio State, how are you feeling about Ryan Day as the head coach of your Buckeyes right now?
Well, I don't feel great because the number one thing to do at Ohio State is to beat Michigan. So if you look at losing 4 in a row, now I think we had ran off 9 in a row before we lost this 4 in a row.
Right.
But man, we can't even remember that because this 4 in a row, it's historic. You know, this is historically one of the most talented teams, but it's historically the seniors are leaving without having any gold pants of beating Michigan.
How, as
you wanted Ryan Day to get fired, and then you wonder why nobody in Ohio State really supports you. Shout out to my dog, Jeremiah Smith, who destroyed your record, and he's going to get rid of you for once and for all. You will no longer be in the record book, so let's not be done. You go out your way to embarrass brothers on TVs when you were in the good points with your counterparts of the Mayo community. This is you flaming Jameis Winston, and just you were one of the main people when you were on TV that you kept ridiculing Jameis after beats that you don't do to the white counterparts.
I missed on Jameis. I thought Jameis would be a lot better, especially after seeing him in his first 2 years in the NFL. I thought he'd be a lot better by now. So I missed on Jameis as a quarterback. I thought he'd have better anticipation. I thought he would read defenses better because he's a smart guy from a football X's and O's standpoint for those who quiz kids on things like that. So I was really, really wrong on what I thought Jameis was going to be in pro football.
You have a history of doing this. Now, the second guy you called out was Mike Tomlin. You called him overrated, basically. And I find that offensive. Like, I don't like Mike Tomlin, but I don't like Mike Tomlin at all. But I've always defended him when it comes to him being a coach. Now, forget about how I feel about his character and how he sells people out, such as us. But he's a great NFL coach, a phenomenal one, a great leader of men. You and Terry Bradshaw have always been calling out Mike Tomlin, but especially you more than Terry specifically. And it's like you always had a vendetta against melanated people, especially Mike Tomlin.
In the modern salary cap era, the Pittsburgh Steelers system does not work, bro. Your philosophy is obsolete. Oh, I'm going to only sign a couple of the players that I draft to their second or third contract. See, Mike Tomlin's been battling that. No one even talks about that ever, the economics of it. In the modern,
Mike Tomlin's been battling that. What, you know why I know you attack people like us? You've been a minstrel on TV for far too long. You tried to be the court jester. You tried to be the intellectual. Who are you, sir? You were the drug head. You were a lot of things. Like, when can you actually be the real Cris Carter? I'm never going to forget when you went on air in front of the whole entire Mayo community and you did this right here.
Come on, man. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. You're making money. Come on. I mean, come on, man. Come on.
It's giving Shannon Sharp Shay Shay vibes. You know, get a brother, put him on a syndicated platform to help the ratings, have him say outlandish, stereotypical things so other groups in the community could laugh at us. That's you, Cris Carter, but yet you're talking about the character of Shedeur. We're going to talk about your son, Duron, who's around my age. Yeah, we're going to get to that part, but let's go more on this part right here.
Stuff like that. Like, we're in the street, he don't say nothing like that. Obviously. Yeah. So a lot of people get on TV or get behind a mic or get behind a camera and they got what you call studio courage.
That's you, sir. You get behind this mic, you get behind this camera, and you say all these freaking things about people that you never say in their face. And we supposed to believe you're a great man. You know who's a great man? Deion Sanders. I remember when Deion Sanders had his little things with Troy Aikman, but he always stuck the code with his brothers like Troy Aikman. When Skip Bayless tried to call Troy Aikman, you feel me, certain derogatory comments, Deion didn't go behind Skip Bayless' back. He stood in front of Skip Bayless and defended his brother, Troy Aikman.
The camp was that, you know, the old rumor, it's 5 years old here in Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm sure a lot of people had heard it before, that Troy is gay. Now, I've talked to Troy about it.
I have never heard that. This is a man. I'm not gay, but Troy is a good-looking guy.
He is a good-looking guy. I agree.
And
now,
I've
talked to Troy.
I'm sure he can get any woman he wants.
He says he is absolutely not gay.
Do you know what
yes, I know exactly what it is.
will do to a guy like Troy Aikman, whose endorsement potential is unbelievable?
Took the opportunity to put it.
You wish you could be Deion Sanders. You wish you could be a man like that. In fact, I wanted to play a video why you were going at Deion like that, but I got it soon. Oh, Deion called you out before, and you got mad when Deion told the world that Cris Carter never could beat me. He couldn't get through me or anything, but once they got Randy Moss, Cris Carter finally had like 2 catches on me. He embarrassed you, and you never forgot that and let it go. You had a vendetta like most weak dudes do. You harbor your feelings, and instead of letting people know how you feel about it, you become one of these crash outs when you get some type of power or your own platform to denigrate these people. But I know why you do that. You were a cokehead, sir. Let's never forget that. This is what you said. My bottom was getting cut, and I was so upset because even though they cut me, I wasn't using at the time, Carter said in 2014. They cut me because they couldn't trust me at the time. I had only flunked 2 tests. The next one, I would have been suspended for a year. I was clean for over 6 months. Sir, shut up. This is when you played for the Philadelphia Eagles before you went to the Vikings. I would have cut you too. They gave you a chance in the league when a lot of people was on that coke, including LT. But guess what LT knew to do? He knew when not to get in trouble during these testings. You got caught 2 times in a row, so they knew the 3rd time you would have get caught again. They don't care about 6 months being clean. But yet, this is the cokehead who's trying to talk about character issues with Shedeur Sanders, and you people allowed this cokehead to do this.
Even if you're okay, we play at noon, we play at 1. I'm gonna get up, do the pregame meal, and then smoke me like a half a J. By the time you get dressed, by the time you go to the stadium, by the time you see the fans, by the time you see your teammate, man, that's gone.
That is definitely gone if you're smoking weed.
Yeah, that's all.
You when you was on cocaine for a game?
Now you're back in the 80s and 90s.
Well, I'm old. I'm 52 years old.
Okay,
I'm 52 years old.
We were at the end of my career, and now you're back to the
Let's
beginning.
go to the beginning.
Not before the game.
Not before the game.
No,
okay.
Not before the game. When I was in Philadelphia, never did any cocaine before the game. Okay. After the game,
yes.
Guilty.
You're so proud of your coke use that you keep bringing it up over and over like this is good stripes on you. No, that's a negative connotation on you, sir. Then this is you. I want y'all to pause it and read it. I'm not going to read it. Over the years, you've been get exposed on this before you even talked about it. So you had no other choice but to talk about all these coke issues. Your character is flawed at best, sir. In the professional world, in the football world, and as a father. Yeah, that's right. I'm judging you as a father, and we'll get to that. But you defended Deshaun Jackson, right? Congrats, bro, playing this and the second biggest mistake Eagles made in their history by cutting their best wide receiver. You're saying the second in history because they cut you once before too. I wonder why you would defend Deshaun Jackson's gang character issues because he got cut for off the field issues and what he said. But yeah, you made excuses for him, but not the Sanders family. And we know why, but let's keep going, man. This is you and Randy Moss situations that started. You went out your way in your broadcasting history, even your playing days when you went to the Dolphins. You always hated Randy Moss. You hated when they drafted Randy Moss. In fact, this is you right here talking about nonsense about Randy Moss on the Mike and Mike show. You said the one thing you have to address with Randy Moss is not a conditioning thing. It's not an age thing. I believe it's the elephant in the room. It's that thing called quit. Y'all could read the rest. I'm not about to read that. Sir, I'm going to show how you're a hypocrite But before we do, look at this, bro. Y'all can read this yourself. I'll put this in here for y'all to pause and read. You went in depth on Randy Moss with things that weren't true, basically called him a quitter. And Randy Moss said this to you. Moss, who is currently retired but open to making a comeback, tweeted this in response. He later tried to clean it up by tweeting, CC, no matter what, I still love you, bruh. However, the damage has already been done. Cris Carter just been left out of the Hall of Fame for the 5th straight year. That was during the time when they were not letting you in. You were crying on TV, bruh. You called Moss a quitter, but I know why you saying this. Moss made you quit, sir. Randy Moss made you quit before he played any downs of football. He made you quit when the team drafted Randy Moss. You went behind his back to try to get rid of him. You were not loving that they selected Moss with the 21st pick. You were enraged. You started getting involved in contract speculations. You're good at going behind people's back, like father, like son. We'll get to that, but this is who you are, sir. No matter how much people don't like me, I've shown nothing but facts on this video, nothing but receipts, because I'm the receipt kings in this piece. You feel me? Now let's keep going. You cried to about Moss on other teams when Randy Moss was trying to get signed to other teams during his dysfunctional days of leaving the Vikings or whatever. And I remember I was in the military, you were doing this. You were telling other teams and people on national syndicated platforms not to sign Randy Moss. You were basically sabotaging him the same way you're doing Shedeur, sir. Let's keep going. Let's talk about your son and finish out this video in the right way. I saved the best for last. Now, your son, Duron Carter, I actually liked him. I met him several times because the high school he went to was St. Thomas Anschutz when you were playing for Miami Dolphins. That's in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The high school is right behind my house, one of the greatest high schools of all time. So why are you going at Deion Sanders' son? Your son failed in his aspiration to be in the NFL.
There. Carter. And down goes Rick Campbell. I think I've ever seen that. And then Duron Carter takes a few more shots from the Ottawa Red Blacks. As you
remember that? That's your son in the CFL because he flunked out of school, bruh. Everywhere he went, he was unbecoming of what Deion Sanders is as a man. This is your son right here, sir. It didn't take long for them to get rid of him. I remembered his freshman season at Ohio State. I thought he was going to be a star. He was on a team loaded with stars, and he still managed 13 passes for 176. But he got kicked off the team for girls' issues, for alleged drug situations. I don't know if that part is true. Unlike you, I'm not going to put fake sources on people, but I seen it in the reports. I'm not going to believe it, but hey, I'll let the people decide. And then your son failed several times when he transferred to Coffeyville, a community college. Then Nick Saban picked him up, and he didn't get to be part of the national championship team because your son continued to have character issues, not going to class, not going to school. This is more failures of your son, sir. You seem to be mad because failure after failure. One thing is for sure, Cris Carter, your son failed in everything he did. I'm going to show the best for last. And this one right here is why you really hate Deion Sanders. Well, I already played it, man. I'm done here. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, Cris Carter is a vindictive coward. Cris Carter is the step infection we always have seen. I debunked it, everything he said and everything he talked about. I'm not a salacious individual, but when you use that camera, which is the greatest weapon in the world that can either be used for good or used for bad, you have to call out the people who take that camera and microphone and use it to hurt other people. I'm not hurting Cris Carter. I'm revealing what the scripture talks about. And if you go through the scriptures, you always supposed to lift up thy voice like a trumpet against the most sickest people in our community. Cris Carter, congratulations. You played yourself.
I've been broke so many times.